Hi, I'm Dean DeMarzo.
And I'm Tori DeMarzo.
And you're listening to Relatively in Tune, where we talk to musicians and the people close to them. Today we're talking to Calvin Rezen of the band Thesaurus Rex. They're an indie band based out of Brooklyn. They make some really incredible music. I'm so excited to talk to Calvin and his girlfriend, Hanna.
Yeah, I'm excited to get her thoughts on being in a relationship with a musician. And it seems like they've been together a long time. So
Yeah. And she does some costuming work.
I know.
Too,
I'm very excited to hear about that.
All right. Without further ado, let's jump into the episode.
I'm Calvin. I'm the lead singer of a band called Thesaurus Rex. Yeah, we're an indie rock band. We do kind of fun experimental stuff sometimes. And my day job, which is why I'm able to record here from the studio, is I write jingles for a company called Maphonics. I say jingles. We do like sync music. I do like bed music for advertising, but I like to say that I write jingles because it's both easier for people to understand and also more accurate to my personality.
The jingle man.
I'm a kind of a jingle jangler. And this is Hanna.
I'm Hanna. I do freelance costuming and styling work, and I work at a restaurant. And we've known each other for going on
4 years.
4 years.
Yes. Yeah, we met online, so it does work, and we are officially. I won't tell you which app it is because we're trying to get a sponsorship. But and they haven't given us the money yet, so I'm not gonna.
It's a sponsorship for our lifestyle.
Yeah,
like they
for
can
our
pay our
lifestyle.
rent
For your entire
something.
relationship,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I'm like, we've been successful because of this app, and I could rep the app, but
Yeah.
I'm not doing it unless I get money off it, So it's an app that you get to stop being on the apps kind of app. It's a door themed app.
You're the second
Yep.
relationship in a row on this podcast.
See, they should sponsor
Wow.
us.
They should.
Yeah.
We're going to take that gig from
To
you.
be
I'm
honest,
so sorry.
To be honest, you guys are probably the concept of your podcast is great for a sponsorship for that app, which shall not be named until they cough it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of them sponsoring your entire life.
Yes.
That's great.
The wedding.
Yeah, they're like, wait, this is so successful.
Anything we do together, basically. If we go out to dinner together, they can get the bill.
Just have a little sign on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I immediately have to hone in on you writing, like you said, like music bed music, jingles. I've done that in the past as well, some sync stuff. That sheds a whole new light on what I've listened to of your music, that you're coming at it from that angle, because you have to understand the audience's perspective on the music on such a deep level to make that stuff work. Can you talk about how you got into that? I'm so curious.
I got ridiculously lucky, basically. I went to grad school at a 1-year program through Berklee College of Music in Boston, but it's a 1-year program that's based here in New York. It's Berklee NYC. Shot in the dark too, because it was like the first year they'd ever run the program, and we were kind of like, okay, cool. But coming out of the pandemic, I was like, all right, I want to meet more people in the music scene here. I've lived in New York for like 10 years, but I went to undergrad for drama. So, and I did some acting and playwriting and stuff. So I'd been doing music stuff, but I feel like especially tons of people's bands like broke up during COVID basically, and like the whole music scene just kind of had a turnover. So it was like 2021, I was like, all right, what's going to be the deal? So I went to grad school there, and my company that I work for is called Maphonics. They came in and did a workshop with us, and I wrote something funny for the workshop to sell like cotton underwear or whatever. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was fun. Hannah was privy to the entire beginning of this because it was like I had my studio set up in our bedroom in Queens, and I annoyed her singing like it was like
I was going to say, I saw the look in her eyes. I know that look very well.
It's weird, like, because a lot of like the first things I worked on were all choral things. I did an ad for Amazon, and I did an ad for this diabetes medication.
Amazon was the big break
Yeah.
in the ad space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like I was just doing it freelance, and it went pretty well because they were like, oh, you can do funny stuff. Cool. If something funny comes across our desk, we'll hit you up. And then they needed this funny Amazon ad. So it was cool. But because of that had like a big choir in it. So she heard me sing the same like 30 seconds of music
Yeah.
60,000 times.
Yeah.
Probably.
Our apartment was not quite big enough
Yeah, it was not.
for
yeah,
that, but that's okay.
Yeah, we made it work. If we can survive through that, I feel like we can kind of survive through anything.
Yes.
That's a good test early on.
It really is. We started in an apartment, and
Yeah.
that was something.
I was trying.
Yeah.
I would go to my parents' house to record vocals.
Would you really?
I would take a laptop. I would go to my parents' house, and when they were at work, there was like a 3-hour window one day a week where I could record vocals.
I remember.
I would go there and just like scream in one of their closets. Yeah, it was great.
You're
Wow.
much more organized than the average music person.
Yeah. Well, not really.
No,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
not go
yeah.
Let's
that
not
far.
give him that much credit.
No.
Not than me. I'm below average, I'll say.
Below. Well below.
So also the drama background,
Makes a lot of
everything.
sense.
Yeah. Watching your videos, hearing like you said, the humor in your lyrics.
Oh, thanks.
There was a line. It was like, I'm, getting paid to forge absentee ballots.
Oh yeah,
or something.
I'm making money forging absentee ballots. It's from
that
from
whole
Dumpster Fire.
verse was just killing me. I love that song.
I mean, yeah, I think I wrote that and a lot of my songs. I just like was not. It's funny now because I record music, but like I just was very like a kind of a Luddite and didn't really know anything about recording for so long, and so I would always write songs that I was like I think about how I would like to perform this on stage versus like how I want it to sound, and so the lyrics ended up just being an extension of what would be like a good bit to be able to do and what's like fun to get to corrupt people.
I love
So-
that.
So yeah.
But also the music videos are so well put together and
Oh my God.
performed and choreographed dancing and all the outfits and everything go together. Hannah, do you have any part in making outfits for those music videos?
I did the Dumpster Fire music video.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
which is yet to come out. We're actually
I was going to
gonna-
say, I haven't seen that
Okay.
one.
Yeah,
I
well,
didn't
there's
even-
a couple of little clips online, but we're kind of
Okay,
we were
that's
kind of
just the workshop.
organizing our release strategy
Yeah.
for it. But she also helped with the
And
videos.
I participated in the I Won't Hold My Breath video. Definitely the highest production value. Yes.
Yeah, that
But
that was
the,
directed by the Stooges.
Yeah, they did a great job.
incredible. They're just like great.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were really, really cool to work with. I just went to one of their birthdays last night, Deva. And like, if there's any musicians listening to this podcast who need a music video, you should totally hit up the Stooges in New York. They're insane and they've done incredible work for us. So probably making some more stuff with them soon.
That's very good to know.
I
Yeah.
loved the one where it was all one continuous shot, or it looked like one continuous shot.
Yeah.
Was that really one continuous shot, or did you piece it
Yeah,
together?
it's two shots, but where the second shot starts is like kind of it's very purposeful. Like it's not like, oh, we're pretending like it's not there. It's kind of like we're pretending like it was supposed to be one shot and we screwed it up, so it has to be two shots. But that was directed by my sister actually.
Oh, nice.
So that was maybe that was like 3 weeks after we met. So Hannah,
Yeah,
Hannah
we
didn't
just
work
met.
on that one.
Yeah, I was not involved in that, but I remember vaguely you talking about filming a
Yeah.
video.
The way you look at me, it was funny. Well, I'd done all of the choreography with my friend Clara, who's I'm dancing opposite of in that video, is an incredible dancer, and I'm a perfectly slightly less than serviceable dancer.
You did better than I would have.
Same.
Thanks, I appreciate
I
it.
think you can.
Yeah,
do
I mean it's
better.
kind of weird. Like I would say the style of that music video was very like supposed to be awkward dancing, and it was like an idea that we had and started working on in December of 2019, and we worked on it through the winter of 2020, and we were supposed to shoot it on April 3rd, 2020, and it got put off for a year and a half. Basically, we shot it like in June of 2021, so.
Ugh.
It was nuts. But I was waiting to meet Hannah before we recorded it.
Yes.
You
Good.
just had to meet me before, just so
Yeah,
you're ready.
I didn't have the creative inspiration.
Did you guys work on that choreographed dance for a long period of time beforehand?
Well, we worked on it for like 3 months, and
Oh my God.
then the video got postponed, and we were all over the city. I think Clara was like traveling a lot over the course of the pandemic, or because she's from Switzerland. But then she was like back in the city, and we were like, all right, let's do it. And this is right before my sister moved out to Los Angeles, so it was kind of like, all right, we've got 3 or 4 weeks before Jill moves out to Los Angeles. She operated camera for that, so the whole
Wow.
one shot is really her. Which I mean, I know so little about making movies, but Steadicam is. I mean, Jill's like a great director and a writer and like super creative, but also like just the stamina of like running a. It's like, dude, you
I
have
was
to be.
going to say they're enormous, and it's a whole body thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so she killed. That was like our first like we just had an idea and we were like, let's do it as a one shot. So we're actually re-releasing that song in a couple months. We're making an album right now. Nothing was good before I met Hannah, basically. So
Aw.
I mean,
That's right.
I'm joking, but that's the sweetest thing I could say. No, but like before I really knew anything about making music and producing music, it was before Thesaurus Rex was fully together.
I was going to ask because going back, I saw some solo stuff going years before Thesaurus Rex. It's getting late so much earlier than
It's
I
getting
liked
late
that one.
it's getting late so early these days.
That was
we're
it.
also re-recording that one and putting it out. There's a
Nice.
few
I like that one.
songs, Gallery and that one and Way You Look, that are like, they're just like old songs that were part of my solo project, and it was before I conceptualized Thesaurus Rex. But it's kind of funny. My relationship with Hannah is exactly as old as Thesaurus Rex, basically.
Yeah, I
She's,
remember
like,
him talking about band names. He was running band names by me like a month or two after we met.
Yeah.
There were some other good ones in there. I mean, Thesaurus Rex is great, obviously, but I think it didn't get my vote. I think there was a different
I
one.
can't remember, like,
I don't remember. I have no idea what
Disposable Karma, or
I have no idea what it
Ble-
was, but
Bleach Blonde Telethon.
Those are all great.
yeah, there were a bunch
We
of
have,
good ones.
we have fun ones. We
Those
have,
are albums down the
or
road.
Backseat Diver.
Mhm.
It's fun.
Jeez.
Or just like, yeah, a lot of punny stuff. Thesaurus Rex just felt the most right for the kind of stuff we do, because
It really does.
it's just like, it's a lot of we do a lot of wordplay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I love T-Rex as well. So like, I mean, like, it's kind of like, it's the same thing as like, the Beatles being like, oh yeah, the Crickets, that's cool, that's like a kind of thing we like to do, so we'll do our version of it. So T-Rex is glam rock.
Yeah.
is
I would
like-
love to know more about the musical influences in there. I hear some Strokes in there for sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we get a lot of like garage rock. We get obviously, I think One Hold My Breath. It's funny that one we sound like that, and we have got songs that are kind of like rocky like that, but that one has done very well, and so a lot of people think about us as sounding very like Arctic Monkeys ish, which is high praise, because I mean, they're great, and Alex Turner is like an incredible writer, but we have like a very I always say that we like are more unified by perspective than by like a specific genre, because like our live shows, like we have like kind of funkier songs and more like kind of like heavy songs, and that's also just like my band. This is my other relationship, Dan McDonald, who's my drummer, and Varun Junjunwala, who's my guitarist, and Ethan Marsh, who's my bassist. We all like have very different musical backgrounds, and there's a lot of like kind of cross-pollination. Ethan's a total jazz and prog rock kind of fusion guy, and he's like an insanely talented musician, like the most insanely talented musician, but he like went to jazz conservatory. And Dan's like kind of like a hardcore guy, and he's like into Turnstiles, and then also really into like Tame Impala and Beck, and a lot of kind of producer and archer indie rock. And Varun's really eclectic. He's like into like kind of interesting progressive stuff, and then obviously he's from India, so his coming up listening to stuff was like all the stuff that made it to India. So he I always joke about this, but he grew up and he was like, listened to like Guns N' Roses,
Yeah.
and we'd be like, oh yeah, Guns N' Roses is like a dad band, and he's like, Guns N' Roses is like Led Zeppelin, they rip. And I'm like, oh, it's different over here. I mean, they are good, yeah, sure, but
I have a friend with the same story. It's a lot of the classic rock, the
Yeah.
guitar rock stuff, Joe Satriani,
Mhm.
that made it over there. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously he's like a huge John Mayer fan. He's just like, I mean, he loves his instrument, so he's an incredible guitarist. So he's just like kind of very able to make whatever sound he wants.
Yeah. Very like lyrical, well-written solos.
I appreciate
Yeah.
you saying that. He's such a good guitar player that often we have to be like, all right, let's keep it melodic. He's like, yeah, but what if we had the so there's a lot of, I mean, that's just how it is with the whole band. Like, I mean, I can go off on my like tangents and stuff, and so it's good. I want everything to feel like a concise package, even though it's maximalist. So
And I think the commercial writing background really informs that for you, I'm sure.
yeah, the commercial writing stuff is cool. It's like it's a really specific muscle to flex. Writing for T-Rex is it's like really deeply creative and internal, and writing for commercials is much more like putting together a puzzle or something. So yeah, it's cool. It's good to be able to do both. It's like two sides of the brain kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's nice to have that when you need it. When the creative well maybe is a little dry, you can just like turn on the engine and push it an inch and it starts back up again. It's nice.
Yeah, it's feel like I don't know. I go through like spurts of writing a lot of song. Hannah gets to hear like everything at every different stage of it, and I'm like playing her versions of things, and she's like, "I don't know if it's good if Hannah likes it."
I'm really not a music person. Like, I appreciate music, but I have so little knowledge or understanding of all the technicalities. I feel like anything he shows me, I'm like, yeah, it's good. Like, I don't have anything
The same.
like, sounds really good. I don't really have any kind of more intelligent feedback to give them most of the time.
That's how I am.
But you have the gut reaction, you have the audience perspective, and that's what we need most. We've got all the numbers and stuff.
Right. You don't need the expert feedback, really. That's what the band is for, right? They give you plenty of expert feedback and pushback and everything.
They definitely give me plenty of pushback. But it is really expert, actually. I mean, they know what they're doing. So, and Dan and Varun are both engineers and work in studios, and Ethan's like we're like in a really fortunate band that our day jobs are all in music, which is really cool.
Nice.
Which is great because we've got incredible access to resources, but no access to time. So that's
that kind of brings me to my next question, really, which was when you first met, Hanna, you were just getting into a relationship with somebody who was just starting a band, which I know can be difficult. So what were your thoughts when you first started dating? And since being in a relationship, how has it gone? Like, have you found any difficulties finding time to spend time together?
Yeah, I mean, definitely sometimes the time has been a thing we have to figure out at certain points, especially since Calvin's had this like a very full-time day job, and then he's doing band stuff after work most days. He's busy. He's busy.
I work 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah. It's very full-time. If I'm working nights or if I have, there's times when I've been on a project working on a film or something where I'm doing 12-hour days, and then it's hard to line up schedules, which is a common, a lot of couples have that problem in different situations too. It's a common thing to deal with. But it's gone in a lot of different ways. Like when we first met, he had just gotten into grad school, this Berkeley program, and then he was talking about actually maybe teaching after grad school.
That's really where I went, to be honest.
Yeah.
To have some certification.
And then this job kind of fell into his lap through grad school in a way. So things have gone in different directions that I wasn't thinking about at the beginning. But I feel like I'm kind of down to roll with it. As long as we can figure out the scheduling things, which we usually can, there are busy weeks and less busy weeks, and that's fine. So I try to be supportive however I can.
She's extremely supportive. And I mean, obviously just because I've been extremely lucky, especially in the last 2 years. It really is like, guys, I mean, that like, so I met Hanna on May 21st of 2021.
Your birthday.
That's my birthday.
On your birthday.
Wow.
And that's why we brought you here today. To thank you for your
for my contribution.
No, that's really funny. We met on that day, and that was the day I got my second COVID shot, and I got into grad school on that day. Like I got on the train, got an email, that like a long awaited email from Berkeley being like, you're going to grad school, and then I like got my second COVID shot, and then I was like, I'm going on a date with this girl, and yeah, it was like big day. And then I started the band within like, or named the band and really started playing with them in the next 2 or 3 weeks or month. And then like a week later, I started working a restaurant gig. Before then, I was in unemployment, like, COVID, like I'd been working at the Gap. And then before that, I was like working a preschool gig, just jobs.
Everyone had weird COVID employment stuff.
Yeah, or like just gig work. Like I was like stand-in for like a friend's, like projection stuff, random, like just
a lot of weird. I was a personal assistant to a alternative health practitioner. There's lots of weird random stuff that comes
all this
during.
To say, I feel like Hannah's been so supportive, but I also I've been very lucky because I think it's sometimes harder to be supportive if the beginning of music, no matter what you're doing, it's like there's a lot of just like faith work, where you're just like, we're gonna play this gig and we're gonna try to get some people to see it, and we're gonna put some stuff out, and we're gonna try to, I mean, hitting the algorithm it's totally not a science. I think people talk about it like it is, but it really is just like, sometimes stuff will do really well online and sometimes it'll just kind of do it it won't and whatever. But yeah, if we were really relying on that exclusively, it's hard to be supportive. I mean, not that it's hard to be supportive because you know, we love each other and everything, but it's like it's like, okay, cool, I'm sticking with you through this, like, a lot of uncertainty, and like we're doing the music, you know, it's working in entertainment no matter what is hard and complicated, you know.
Yeah, I mean, she stuck around through 15 years of a YouTube channel before it finally took off. So
Wow, teen, let's not date ourselves.
Yeah,
14. It took a while. I mean, I didn't care what you did, but because we met in college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I still don't, but
I still don't either.
But it was fine.
Yeah,
you know,
worked out.
And now you pay our mortgage with a music. You like work for
Some
yourself.
really silly music. Yep.
You know, it worked out, but I didn't care. You know, and now I'm grateful for it. But
I'm glad.
it was hard. There's definitely hard moments.
It's hard no matter what. I mean, even if you're lucky enough to, like, I mean, I was doing this freelance for a while, and like, even when you're not freelance, like, it's like, obviously it's great I get to work in house, but you're still relying on wins, you know? Like, so you're pitching jingles and bed music to like different ads and stuff, and like that's got like a certain small fee related to it, but not enough to pay rent. And so you're just like, okay, cool, it's been 3 months, 5 months, 6 months where there's just like, there's no win, you know? And you're just like, cool, we're digging. And also we live in the city, so it's just very expensive.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. We just played a show in Philly over the weekend, and I mean, I'm from Jersey. I've been to Philly a bunch. My aunt and uncle used to live there when I was a kid, and I like hadn't been there in a while, but I was like, oof, this is half of New York for a third of the price, and only an hour and a half away. And like, you know, I mean, I love New York. I'm a New Yorker at this point, so I've dug my heels in.
But he was looking up Philly on Zillow when he got
I
home.
was Zillowing.
It's the first step.
I was like, for the same amount of money I'm paying to live in Brooklyn, I could be like, we can have a backyard and like a washer and dryer.
Yeah, but would Hannah be able to go too? Like uproot and move?
I mean,
I don't know. I'm from California, so I've
she has no
been to
business being
Philly
here.
once. I don't really know anything about it.
You're gonna love it, babe.
Let's go.
No,
You've got a showing on Monday.
yeah, for buying a home. No, I mean, yeah, it would be. I feel like at this point it would be kind of random for us to go.
It would definitely be random for me.
Yeah,
But
it would probably be random for me too. Although I did think about moving to Philly right after I got out of undergrad, because it was just like, there's a great music scene there. It's like really cool indie scene, and it's like so much cheaper than New York, you know. So
Is the rest of the band in Brooklyn as well?
yeah, we're all
Here?
in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Oh,
Would
For
they
sure.
come to Philly too? Have you talked this over with them?
doing a mass migration to
Yeah,
Philly.
that would
We're leading the
really be the
charge.
hard sell. Yeah, well, because I mean, we also all have the thing about music too is like you can have it's just harder to have a freelance job in some ways, because you have to have a listening space, you know.
Mm.
Like, this is what I was working in at like our apartment for a while, and it's like you can do it, but there's buses outside, and whatever, there's stuff in the background of your recordings, and also
The
it's just,
neighbors
like,
might not.
yeah, the
be
neighbors
super
are not into
happy,
that. Yeah, whatever. So there's like a lot of obstacles to just doing it completely at home, and
Mhm.
especially if you're in the city. So it's site specific, weirdly, even though it's like an art job, but you really do have to go to the office every day, you know. Like, there's kind of this thing.
We got lucky when we lived in a townhouse prior to this home, and one of our neighbors were deaf and the other died.
Yes.
So we were
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Wow.
okay.
I made all the noise I
We're
wanted. It was
totally
good. It was
fine.
good.
Yeah, our upstairs neighbors are not, don't give us a problem, but our neighbor, unfortunately, she passed away, but she was like 95
She was 95.
years old.
Yeah.
You know, so she lived a good life. She's
Yeah.
a very sweet old woman, but she was like, it's like, you don't want an old person neighbor who's like going to be like, oh, quiet down. But if you're going to have an old person neighbor, you want someone who's so old that they're like,
can't
they
hear
don't
anymore,
understand.
yeah.
They're
Yes.
not. You're not bothering them, because they're just like, yeah, I'm chilling.
Like, the likelihood of
Fully dead.
complaining goes up for a while, and then it
It's
tanks.
like dips. There's probably a chart that shows.
Yeah.
I would love to know about the transition from like your solo artist work to putting together the band. How did that come about? What was the choice made there to bring about Thesaurus Rex?
Yeah, it was weird. Like, so that music video we made, The Way You Look at Me, when we literally shot that, I was still under my own name. I was still Calvin Rezen, and I almost posted it on that thing. So I was still figuring it out, and it always felt kind of silly or stupid to me to go under a pseudonym because I'm like not. I mean, Calvin Rezen is not. It's not like my name is like John Smith or something.
No, it's
like,
a good name. It's a very good name.
It's characteristic enough that it could, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't like keep me from from being recognizable,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Because
searchable.
you could be, it's like my name's got incredible SEO, and my parents planned for that. My parents were way ahead of the curve on this whole internet thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that, and also I don't know, I just hadn't thought about it because I didn't have a band. I played with my friend Fiona Stocks Lyons, who's was our drummer. She was the drummer for Thesaurus Rex from the beginning, basically, and then she ended up having to drop because she is like playing with these like incredible artists who are like signed to Atlantic and was like touring with people.
Tours, yeah.
Yeah, and we were just like, all right, I'm so proud of you. You're my old friend. And we're still tight and everything. But I was just kind of like, there's only so many hours in the day, and I can't ask you not to go. Like, I can't ask you to be like, hey, will you play this bar with me?
Local bar?
Yes.
Instead of going on
Instead of going on like
European tour.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good reason to let someone go. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Fiona was like my drummer, and then I was like, screw it. So I added my friend Cashel O'Malley, who's actually in that first video, and it was like, we'll just be a 3-piece. We'll just be like a punk band, and we'll just figure it out. And I was like, yeah, we'll be in a band. I haven't been like in a band since I was in high school, because it's just like meeting your band is like, well, those two people are not in the band anymore because Cashel ended up going his own way. And, just, Fiona obviously had the thing with the touring. And then before they both left, I added Varun because I was like, I would be able to do a better live performance if I had someone else kind of holding down the melodic parts of the guitar and I was just doing rhythm stuff. So, and Varun I met at college and is like so incredible. And then when Fiona dropped, I asked Dan to join, and he just worked at my school. He the Berkeley is based out of this studio called the Power Station, and he was just like a studio assistant, right out of college. And he came in for an engineering class or something to teach us. While my teacher was teaching us how to mic up a drum kit, and he was just like the stand-in drummer for that. And I was like, whoa, this guy rips.
Nice.
If I ever need a drummer, I'll hit him up. And then I needed a drummer, and I was like, yeah, that guy. I got along with him. He was cool. And then now he's my other girlfriend. And they compete. Yeah, Dan Bear and Han Bear. It's the Dan Bear Han Bear dichotomy.
Bears will fight to the death.
The bears will fight to the death. And then Ethan, like when Cashel dropped, we were like, we just got Ibrun's roommate, just who is also like, I mean, literally like 20 years old, right out of college in Cincinnati, and moved to Crown Heights and just like lived in Varun's home in Crown Heights, and they would busk on the street in Crown Heights together. And Varun would be like, you got to hear this guy. He's like the greatest musician I've ever met. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Yeah, sure. And I'd see him like do little things, and I was like, cool. And then we were like, we needed a fill in. And so I got Ethan to jump on, and he was Shreds McGee, like fully shredding. So
Nice.
that was about 1.5 years ago. So the whole thing was like a thing, but that's like the lore of the band and why I ended up becoming Thesaurus Rex as opposed to just me. I don't know. I feel like it was like more of a curation project. I was just like writing a lot of different kinds of songs, and I was like, there's all these kind of like funnier ones that feel like they fit together that are like rock songs, and I have like a lot of my like very sensitive, Pine Grove stuff that's like I think I'll probably put out at some point or play around with. But it's been like a process of just thinking like, it's not really branding, but just thinking about like, okay, what feels like Thesaurus Rex and what doesn't feel like Thesaurus Rex. So it's, I don't know. It's just like, it was like a frame I could put around like a good portion of my songs, and it felt like it worked.
Yeah, I can get that.
I would love to learn a little bit more about your job, Hanna, and how you got into costume design. Do you sew things? Do you design it? Like, do you pass it to somebody else? And how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I went to college. I moved to New York for college originally, like 10 years ago, which is crazy. And I studied history. My degree's in history, and I did a lot of film stuff too. So I did cultural history, which included film, literature, fashion stuff. I took a lot of film classes too. And through that, I got interested in screenwriting. And towards the end of school, I did workshops in that. I loved doing that. And then actually moved to LA for a year or two right after I graduated from college to pursue screenwriting. But then COVID started, like,
Kabosh.
4 months after I moved there or something. So everything was kind of dead. I didn't know, the film industry was completely shut down. There was really nothing to do, and I was paying rent without a real job. And so I ended up moving back to New York just because people I knew were here. I had more connections, so more chance of working on anything at all. I actually don't remember how I found this. I think maybe it's just something I saw online, like someone I knew reposted something that someone else had reposted, some train of reposting, and I was just trying to get on some kind of film set, like in any capacity. And a costume designer was looking for assistance, and like I was interested in styling vaguely. Like I'd never really done any kind of styling in a serious way before that, but I just kind of messaged and ended up doing this job with this costume designer and working on a film set all summer. This was the summer of 2022. And it was a kind of long and pretty involved shoot process.
Weird movie, but
Very weird movie.
great costumes.
Can you say what it was?
It's called RachelOrmont.com.
Yeah. It just finally came out this winter. It's really
very odd movie.
I don't know that I'd recommend it to anybody, but it's.
But the budget was for the costumes.
It was really fun and wild to work on. Like it was a crazy first film set experience.
Good.
And the costumes, it's really like it's a costume movie. It's like it's really wild wardrobe movie. So I had a blast working on that.
That's a great place to start.
Cool,
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just kind of crazy, fortuitous thing that I ended up getting this job. And so that same costume designer, I've worked with her a couple other times on various things I've done, mostly
like local indie stuff.
It's local indie stuff. So I've done shopping where a costume designer will give me a general idea or some kind of mood boards of what they're looking for, and then I run around the city looking for stuff that suits that vision.
So cool.
Which is fun.
Hannah's better at Depop than anybody.
It's like professional thrifting, basically.
I love that.
That's amazing. This is right up our alley.
Really fun.
Third dream job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a job until this costume designer was like, "Do you want to shop for me?" And it's great. It's a blast. So since then, I did one commercial too, which is a very different experience. Better pay, way less creative
fun.
or fun.
That's how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
much more
More money,
organized,
less fun.
much more.
Yeah.
I'd say
Much less
well
chaotic.
run, much
Yeah.
less chaotic. But it's a commercial. Styling a commercial is like buying and returning stuff on Amazon. Is basically the extent of it.
Wow.
You're like getting random, like, oh, you need a white shirt. Let's
Yeah.
Hanes white shirt. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, like
Wow.
children's soccer jerseys, like, whatever,
Yeah,
stuff
okay.
like that. But yeah, I've just been freelancing since I got that first job, and it's fun. I like it. I don't know if I want to do it forever.
Right.
Or
That's
if
so
I
cool,
can
though.
do it forever, but it's been a fun thing to do periodically for the last few years.
What's your dream job?
Is screenwriting still in the mix?
I would like to. I think I just need to find some kind of structure. Like I loved doing that when I was doing a workshop where I had deadlines. I need just for
Weird.
my work style. I need to have the threat of getting in trouble if I don't have it done by a certain
Mhm.
time.
And I refuse to threaten her. Cause,
I wouldn't believe him if
Because
you did.
and I'm also too sweet. She doesn't believe me.
So yeah, I think lately I've been thinking I would love to find a way to structure writing so that I can actually get anything done ever around that.
We're
But-
an ADD couple, so
Yeah.
Let's say I'm the ADD half of the couple.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
But I feel like I need the structure, like she's saying.
Yeah.
Like I always say, like I would prefer to work for somebody than myself because I don't know that I could be that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah.
a huge struggle every day for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's hard to I think it's hard for us, but it's hard for everybody to just fucking focus. There's too much stimulation, and it's like there's like a natural amount of ADD that I feel like everyone kind of it gets just from society working the way that it does, and then you add like the actual proclivity for it
Right.
on top of that, and you're kind of cooked, So
Yeah.
I mean, everything is optimized to hold your attention as aggressively as possible.
yeah.
TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all of it.
Well, and I have to do Instagram is technically like part of my job description at this point. So it's
This
like,
is the thing.
yeah, it's bad. It's bad for you. I've said for as long as I can that as soon as I can afford to, I'll try to pay someone else to do it. The problem is that if you do, then you lose like a certain kind of person. You know what I mean? Like
People can kind of sniff that out.
they can sniff
Well,
it out, and
yeah,
the algorithm knows
unfortunately.
when you're being, or it seems to. The algorithm knows. I feel like I'm talking about God. It knows.
Well, people
Yeah,
know on
yeah,
some
they know when
level.
it's insincere, or when it just feels like it's like, yeah, kind of copied and pasted or whatever. And if it's like, if I wanted to represent my music, then it should also feel like me, and it should also feel sincere. And so, yeah, it's kind of a Kafka trap where you're just like, it's not good for me, but it's the gig. But I'm also like, it's hard to complain. Like, dude, sometimes people have a job that's not good for them and they get black lung or whatever. They have to like work in the
Yes.
mines. So
Mhm.
I'm just giving away my consciousness, like not my body.
You're just letting your brain decay. is
That's
fine.
okay. Yeah, brain rot.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
I'm just having a really skibbity day most of the time. And
No.
No.
Oh no. That was right.
I think speaking on that note, I think there is a certain amount of like, in addition to projecting the authenticity yourself by posting on the platform, like keeping your ear to the ground of
Yeah.
how do people talk on these platforms? What do they post? How do they interact?
Yeah, dude, there's so
Skibbity
much.
Riz got. you
Yeah,
know?
Skibbity Riz God, and my our bassist is from Ohio, so he really is like.
Oh, no.
yeah, dude, he's the Rizzler of Ohio. It's crazy.
I'm cutting this whole section.
Yeah,
I'm so
You're-
old.
This-
I don't even.
this
I'm so
part can
lost.
That's the
go.
thing. My audience is
I'm-
like 13, so I'm tapped into this.
I'm way too old for this, but Hannah's way too over it. She will not hear me say these things.
I just hate to hear those words.
I just hate to hear this. I kind of like am fascinated by them from a purely linguistic standpoint, as somebody who
It is kind of linguistically interesting.
it's because they're all like
I still don't
all.
want to hear them out loud. I could read an article.
I
about
can
them.
curse on this. Can I curse on this
Absolutely.
podcast?
Go for it.
Okay. Fucking fuck shit motherfucker. No, the all of the words work like the F word, where they're all parts of speech.
Yes.
Like you can just say you like, oh, go skibbity, or have a riz day, like have a like riz out, like whatever. And it's just like
Yes.
I can't, I will not attest to being an expert of this language. But it's funny to me because it's just like, oh, that's like when we were young, I remember someone telling me like, oh, the F word is like one of the only words that like works in every part of speech, or there's like a version of it. And I'm like, now there's just like a whole lexicon of words that are just like they don't mean anything. They just are. They're gymnastics for language.
It's the structure of language is disintegrating.
Yeah, we're yeah,
It is.
just as our society.
Yeah.
Good times.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, guys, it's a super great time to just to be anybody in
Just to be.
America,
Yeah.
let alone
Oh.
a musician. But
Yeah.
and it will be.
It will
Yep.
be.
Oh,
Cool.
well, that's why we have music to kind of like
Yes.
take our minds to other places.
And
Yeah.
honestly, like Scam Song speaks
Well,
to
yeah, I
that
was
so
gonna say.
much.
Yeah.
It's so, the second verse especially is so good.
Thanks. I mean,
That's one of my favorite ones.
yeah,
Yes.
Hannah's very supportive of me. Well, that actually, to be honest, on like being supportive of this kind of thing, like I think our relationship is able to do well with the kind of music we make because Hannah's very supportive of us talking about bigger political issues. There's a lot of people who, even if it's stuff that they agree with, that they would be like, okay, you're being a little purposefully political on the internet.
Preachy.
Yeah,
or
preachy.
something. Yeah.
Preachy or like you're like inviting controversy right
Mm.
into our life. But Hannah's very supportive of me.
I say invite it. I'm
Invite it. Yeah,
I'm-
take it down.
radicalized.
Hannah's
And I don't think
radicalized.
it comes across that way. I think
Oh, thanks.
I think I was thinking about this, and obviously there's humor in the lyrics for sure, and the cleverness in it, but it's not humor in a way that like you're hiding behind the humor. It's like humor as a way of being more honest with it and pushing it even further forward.
I really
like it.
appreciate you saying that. I remember being in school and having a classmate or a professor be like, oh, like can you tap into something that's more thing? And then they would play a moody Taylor Swift song, and I'm like, this is not more honest than what I'm doing, because I'm sorry, I'm gonna like unleash the Swifties on your website.
No, it's okay. I'm not gone, so that's okay. It's controversial, but I'm
No. I mean, I just mean like there's a lot of stuff that's pop stuff that's quote unquote really like sensitive around it. I mean, like you can think of that song that's like say something I'm giving from like whatever 15 years ago is like it's the most truly dishonest song like ever, because well, I mean, maybe it's someone's really important thing, but like it's just like it's honest of emotion, but it's not honest of identity or person, right? Like it is so important to me that this stuff feels like something I would say in a conversation, and like it's obviously curated because it's like it's more clever than I probably am, but like it is, if it doesn't feel like it's coming from you, then it could have been generated by an AI, right? Like I mean, like I feel very proud and confident for the time being, but we'll see, I guess, that like I don't feel like our stuff can be like easily just replicated, because it's just or at least that if it was easily replicated,
The AI could never.
the AI could never, and we're challenging you right now, man. No, I mean, the AI probably will, but like, it's just like, it's like you're going out of your way to be the way you actually are, as opposed to being like, especially like with ad music, there's so much random lyric writing where you're just like, do not say nothing. If you possibly can, literally say words, but do not make sounds that are technically words, but make sure that the interpretation of them does not even cross people's minds,
as far from meaning as possible,
and it has to be so far from meaning that people don't even think to like figure out what it means, because if it's far from meaning and it doesn't mean anything, people will kind of be like, wait, it just doesn't pass the smell test or something.
We just watched a video about that.
I was gonna say, we were just watching this music reviewer who
Bad Day by, what was his name?
Bad Day
by Daniel Powter.
Yeah.
Yes,
How the chorus of that just aggressively means nothing. We've all heard it a billion times. It's never crossed our mind to think like, what does "you're taking one down" even mean?
Yeah, you're taking one down. You sing a sad song just to turn it around. You say you don't know. Yeah, you're right. It's true.
The camera don't lie. What's happening here?
Yeah, no, it's just like line by line. But there's so much stuff like that where it's like it's clearly written line by line. And as far as process, I remember one of the biggest hurdles I felt like I crossed over with writing lyrics was like, as a person, I speak in complete sentences. I mean, I usually interrupt myself 30 times in the middle of it, but I speak in complete sentences, right? And most people who are my age and who are lucky enough to like be a high school graduate are not speaking 6 third grade reading levels at a time. I remember having a teacher, a songwriting professor, who was like, the average American's at a 3rd grade reading level, so that's what you have to be writing towards. I'm like, well, you don't read a song, first of all. That's ridiculous. And you don't speak at a 3rd grade reading level. And I certainly don't speak at a 3rd grade reading level. I'm a pretentious asshole. Like, why would you dumb yourself down to be understood by people who don't care about you? And you could just be, if you literally, it's very sweet to be yourself or whatever, but like if you try to figure out what it is that's specific about the way that you communicate, do whatever you can to not strip that away. Like, and it's hard to not strip it away. It's a huge thing, especially like, I mean, depending on your genre, right? A lot of, folk musicians will feel like they need to be more kind of like anonymous and old timey, and they'll like write songs about like mountains and the road and stuff like that. And a lot of like hip hop artists and rap artists, it's like a lot of it is about swagger and talking yourself up.
There's an expectation.
There's an expectation that you're gonna talk yourself up, or like that you have to like fulfill the genre that you're in. And it's like, no, you should say what you would say to someone you're talking to vulnerably about anything and whatever. That's my rant.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
I agree.
I have a question for Hanna. So when you first met, obviously the band was just starting too. So you both developed these relationships with all these people in the band together. So do you have any fun stories that most people wouldn't know about?
Hanna came on the road with us.
I did come on the road, for a couple days. I guess, when was that? Like more than a year ago.
Yeah, a year and a half ago or so.
They did a little tour, drove all the way up to Vermont. Really too far for.
We drove too far, yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Was it one van? What was the situation?
Chrysler Pacifica.
Chrysler Pacifica.
Nice.
Oh.
Chrysler Pacifica is I'm generally kind of an
loyal to the Chrysler
anti-car
Pacifica.
person.
reason.
We're
I really kept
on the
it that
record
way.
as being a pro-transit band.
Mhm.
Not for transit, like public transit.
Right.
But
Yes.
yeah, a Chrysler Pacifica will never do me wrong.
It's a really specific car model joke.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a Ford Transit joke coming up, so just you should put a Ford Transit joke warning on the screen about 5 seconds before that.
That's the van my granddad is building.
Oh, really? That's really funny.
Well, that's I mean, Ford Transits are very common.
We'll make sure he
for-
doesn't hear this one.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's gonna freak out. But yeah, Hannah came with us in our Chrysler Pacifica
Yeah.
that we rented for.
Yeah, we drove all the way up to Vermont so that they could play on at basically like a house
It was
party.
a friend of a friend of ours, like backyard, party, like kind of like self-made little festival thing that they put up. And they were like, "You guys want to play?" And we were like, "Yeah, sure." And we thought we were told there was gonna be beds for us, and there was not beds for
Oh,
us.
no.
And so
he and I slept on the floor in a basement.
in a garage.
A garage.
technically.
kind of.
no.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Varun and Ethan slept in the Chrysler Pacifica.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't
Was it
know. I don't know
warm
which one was
then?
better.
It was.
Yeah, what time of year was this?
It was
was
like
October.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was getting a little.
October in Vermont.
Yeah. It was.
It was beautiful.
It was
like,
so.
This was
I mean, yeah. It was.
not to suggest that this was a bad experience because
Yeah.
it was beautiful, like beautiful Vermont fall, like kind of rural. There's this barn. It was amazing. I mean, I'd never actually seen anything.
We also
like
drove
it,
up
but
like through the Adirondacks.
Yeah.
So you're like, it's. I mean, it was.
we took a ferry across Lake Champlain.
That was a mistake. Also.
on accident.
What
that-
happened? What?
Well, it was like I forgot about that. Yeah.
We were driving up, and the Chrysler Pacifica has a little screen
How
built into
dare you
it.
say anything negative about the Chrysler Pacifica?
We were driving up, and I could see on the map that we were driving up on one side of Lake Champlain, and our destination was on the other side. I did say a couple times, "Hey, how are we going to get across the lake?" And
Dan was probably like, "It'll be fine."
Dan was like, "No, there's a bridge or something like that," and there wasn't a bridge, but we did. It worked out fine because we got to take an amazing ferry ride,
Yeah, it was really
which is
cool.
very, very
That's
cool.
cool.
I can remember the name of that.
Car is one of those
town.
ferries where you drive the car onto the ferry.
You drive the Chrysler Pacifica with the ferry.
Yes.
And a guy compliments your car, and you're like, "Thank you."
So it was beautiful, and it all worked out. And then we got to our destination in Vermont, and I mean, it was like a beautiful time of year up there.
Yeah.
We slept in an amazing garage,
In an
and,
amazing
Yeah.
garage. Yeah, Hannah.
but it was. I think everyone had a generally
Oh, we had a
positive
great
experience. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I love being on the road with these guys.
yeah.
I mean, Hannah's main interaction with the band is, I mean, I'm just with them all the time, and so Hannah comes and hangs out with us in the studio. Hannah also has designed some of our merch before, and she'll
nice.
she'll help take pictures of us, and she'll help style the band for pictures and stuff.
Mhm.
So I mean, there's a lot of interaction, and
Yeah.
these.
I think I'm. It's very fortunate that I really like the band.
Yeah.
I think sometimes about how much it would suck if I didn't like the guys in the band at all, which
Yeah.
could be totally possible.
Mhm.
But it's just lucky. Like Calvin found some really great people to be in the band, and we all I get along great with them. I like hanging out.
I was going to say this before when I was talking about how I kind of picked everyone up, but I've said it. I say this a million times, and I'll say it again. The meeting your band, because people talk all the time about how you end up it's hard to meet people to play with, and it's
Mhm.
it really is like meeting a spouse.
Mhm.
It has
is,
to be. It's not just that you like the same kind of music and that you are kind of similar seriousness levels and skill levels, but it's it literally has to work out timing wise too. There's a biological clock of being in a band with somebody, and it's just okay, yeah, I'm gonna be I'm going into my 30s, and I'm gonna want to settle down. I don't want to be on the road and sleeping in a garage. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I mean, it worked out. I just ended up meeting people who were they shared values with us and with me, and it's cool.
And they can all be real personal friends too, not just collaborator.
They're my buddies.
Do you have any big goals going forward for the year, or really even further than that for your band?
I'm thinking about adding Hanna as a tambourine / backup singer.
Yeah, I've been practicing. So.
She's been practicing tambourine. Yeah, she's getting really good.
That's historically gone really well for 4-piece bands.
Yeah. 4-piece bands plus a tambourine player, 5-piece. Yeah. That's really good. Percussion. Well, for the band, we're recording an album right now. We're putting it out tentatively in early to mid-May. But we're figuring out what our release strategy is, which is always a thing. So we'll probably be making some music videos and stuff. So if we end up getting any support to do that, then we'll push stuff back so that we can make those count. And Hanna and I are going to go to Europe.
Oh,
Nice.
does she know that?
I
It
was gonna
doesn't look
say,
like she knows that.
I'm surprising her right now. No, we probably are going to go to Europe. Her mom
Sorry, yeah.
is from Germany. So
My mom lives in
Oh,
Berlin.
fun.
She's from there. So
yeah.
Wow.
I
That's
certainly am
awesome.
going. And
Yeah.
I hope that he's going.
If she's going, I'll be too jealous not to go. So I gotta dig up some credit card points or whatever. Yeah. I mean, it would be cool. I'm recently, as of the last 6 months, the band has started playing with So Far Sounds from time to time, which is a really cool organization. I don't know if you guys know about their stuff.
Not familiar with them.
So far, it's. I mean, they've been around for I think 15 or 20 years now. But they do fun little pop-up shows in unconventional spaces. We did one in a sunglasses store and back
That's awesome.
rooms, back bars of hotels and stuff. Or I did one at a hotel, at a gymnasium in a hotel. Kind of random, but
That's awesome.
yeah, they'll do it's found spaces and stuff. So the band has done a couple of those, and I've done a bunch of them just solo. But so far is it started in London, and it's kind of a worldwide thing. So I've been trying whenever I can, if I'm ever traveling or I go out to LA to visit my sister, or to if we go to Germany, that I would be able to hit up So Far and be like, hey, do you have any random coffee shops you want me to play some American, really cool American indie rock
Oh, is the
music?
music from New York?
Yeah, I'm from New York. So he's a really crazy guy. Yeah, crazy.
That's awesome. That sounds so cool.
That's like that comedy thing.
It's
that we
like
go
Don't Tell
to.
Comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
That's
It's
very cool.
a similar kind of, they just pop up and do comedy.
Yeah, it's a wild one. You buy the tickets, and then an hour before the show, they text you where it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
same
And you
deal.
go. Yeah.
Same
That's
deal.
so cool.
So far, I
But
think
they
it's
don't tell you what it
Yeah, you don't know who you're seeing either.
yeah, and it's usually somebody with negative intentions towards you, and you have to fight them.
They're not always great. I
No,
would
it's
say
it's
that.
a mixed bag for sure.
This is the nature of the surprise music.
Yes.
We're
awesome.
not always great either. So that's
I don't believe that.
no, you're right. It's true. We are always great. We're always great. I've never
Yes.
even sang a wrong note,
Not once.
not once.
It's impressive.
And hopefully my band never listens to this, because they will they'll instantly be writing into your show to inform you of 99% of the time.
Good. We need the engagement, so that's good.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for having
Thanks
us,
for
Tom,
having
Corey.
us.
That's seriously, yeah, this has been great.
They were so nice, and Calvin is just he puts so much thought into everything he does, in his music, in his work. Finding out he had a background in drama and theater, and that he writes music for commercials, for music beds, that all everything made sense and everything fit together in what I heard in his music, and I loved it.
I really like learning about her job in costuming, because I never thought those I didn't know that was a job, to just be able to go thrifting and buy clothes, and I think that's so cool, and it's something I would so be interested in.
I was gonna
doing.
say you were
When she talked about that,
very
I was like,
jealous that whole
"Whoa."
second.
I was jealous.
Be sure to check out Calvin's music with Thesaurus Rex, and Thesaurus Rex is going on tour at the end of April, the 24th, 25th, and 26th. They'll be in Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and Boston. They're going on tour with Nori, who is also going to be on this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I've been Dean DeMarzo,
And I'm Tori DeMarzo.
and this is Relatively in Tune. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.